Think forward, set goals, chase success, maximize everything.
Right. Go, go, go.
But Munger, he argued the real path to clarity, to like actual resilience. It starts by turning around, looking backward. Okay, let's try and unpack this a bit. People sometimes call it the mental judo of wisdom.
That's a good way to put it.
Because instead of asking, how do I win? Munger's primary question was more like, how could I completely screw this up?
Exactly. What guarantees failure? And then just avoid doing that.
It sounds almost too simple on the surface, doesn't it?
Deceptively simple.
Yeah.
But the real power, the profound impact is in actually doing it ruthlessly.
So the mission for you, the listener, gets kind of flipped on its head.
Completely. It's not about chasing the absolute maximum upside. It's about systematically eliminating the ways you can destroy yourself or your progress.
And if you do that consistently,
Success becomes, well, maybe not guaranteed, but a much more natural byproduct. It sort of just happens when you stop shooting yourself in the foot.
and Munger saw this as critical,
Right.
like a defense mechanism.
Absolutely essential. It's maybe the only reliable defense against our own built-in flaws, our biases, our optimism, what he called the seductive lies of optimism.
That phrase is great. Seductive lies. Okay, so you mentioned it's a defense against ourselves. Our sources really hammer this point. This isn't some clever mental trick.
No, it's rigorous, a methodology.
And he framed it quite intensely as a duty to reality. Why use language that strong? A duty.
Because fundamentally objective thinking is hard. We aren't naturally rational. Our brains, as he'd say, are just riddled with biases.
Confirmation bias, overconfidence.
Self-serving delusions. The list goes on. If you just charge ahead chasing goals, your brain will lie to you. It'll filter reality to make things look rosier than they are. So inversion. It's like a mandatory mental tool. It forces your mind to confront the potential negatives, the flaws, the ugly truth of the situation.
So it's less, what's the absolute best decision here?
And much more, okay, what decision or series of decisions would absolutely guarantee disaster? What leads straight to ruin?
And once you identify that disaster path,
You just steer clear, stay as far away as possible.
okay, but here's where I push back a little. If you're always focused on avoiding disaster, doesn't that risk, I don't know, analysis paralysis?
That's a fair question.
Like, how do you ever take a bold risk? A potentially huge opportunity might look like it has disaster potential if you squint hard enough.
Right, but I think Munger would argue inversion doesn't paralyze you. It clarifies the nature of the risk you're taking. It forces you to define your downside first.
So you identify the things that would absolutely kill you. Financially, reputationally, whatever.
Yeah, the unacceptable losses. You eliminate those paths. What's left is a decision space where the risks are hopefully manageable, known, not existential threats.
It strips away the illusion that you have to optimize perfectly for success.
Exactly. And it replaces it with a kind of humility. Question your gut instincts before they lead you off a cliff. You can't control the outcome, maybe, but you can control your exposure to ruin.
That makes sense. That clarity, seeing the failure points, others just gloss over that as the advantage. Now, underpinning this is a concept that comes up a lot in the research, via negativa, the way of subtraction.
Yes.
What does that actually mean when we take it out of philosophy class and apply it to, say, running a business or just making daily choices?
Via negativa, it's basically improvement through removal or subtraction. It's this powerful, often overlooked idea that the best way to improve something isn't always adding more stuff.
They're taking bad stuff away.
Precisely. Think about the classic sculpture analogy, right?
Right, they don't add clay.
They don't build the statue by piling on more clay. They find the form, the beauty, by carving away the excess marble, removing what isn't the statue.
And our lives, our careers, our investment portfolios, they're like that block of marble.
Often, yeah. Obscured by noise, error, complexity, bad habits, stupid decisions, just excess.
But we live in a world that's absolutely obsessed with addition. More features, more data, more hacks, more optimization.
We constantly feel like solving a problem means adding something new, right? A new app, a new rule, a new supplement.
Instead of just stopping something old and harmful.
Exactly. But inversion, working through this via negativa, it refines your life, your systems, by forcing you to identify and then eliminate what makes them fragile, what introduces the risk of breaking.
So success, in this view, isn't usually created by some flash of genius.
Rarely. It's more often uncovered. You uncover it by systematically removing the errors, the noise, the layers of frankly, stupidity.
Get rid of the financial debt, the cognitive biases that trip you up, the time wasted on nonsense.
Yeah, and what's left? What remains tends to be the real signal, high-quality actions, robustness.
Okay, let's make this really practical then. If the goal is designing failure out of the system, what are some of those specific poisons, those guaranteed paths to failure that Munger said we absolutely have to remove?
We can look at it domain by domain, always starting with the inverted question, what destroys this?
Okay, like health.
Right, health. Instead of asking, what miracle superfood or supplement should I add? The inverted question is, what actively destroys my health the fastest?
Which leads you to?
Stop eating tons of sugar and ultra-processed garbage. Just removing that poison gives you more immediate, guaranteed health benefits than chasing some magical berry from the Amazon.
Makes sense. What about wealth? Finance?
Same logic. Invert. What guarantees I destroy my capital? What leads to financial ruin?
Okay, so that points toward
Focusing relentlessly on eliminating things like high-interest debt, avoiding stupid investments driven by hype or FOMO, managing lifestyle creep and pointless overspending.
Munger had that great quote, didn't he? Something about avoiding stupidity.
Oh, yeah. It is remarkable how much long-term advantage people like us have gotten from trying to be consistently not stupid instead of trying to be very intelligent.
That just nails it. We always focus on Warren Buffett finding the next Coca-Cola, but the real story might be all the bad deals he didn't do.
Thousands of them. His genius and Munger's lies so much in the discipline of saying no, protecting that downside, protecting their capital. That's pure inversion, protecting the margin of safety.
Okay, so health, wealth. What about something fuzzier, like happiness or relationships?
Same principle. Ask what poisons happiness, what guarantees misery.
Okay.
The strategy then becomes avoiding the obvious misery generators. Things like surrounding yourself with toxic, negative people, letting envy corrode your soul, falling into addiction.
Munger was pretty open about that, wasn't he? His goal wasn't maximizing bliss, it was avoiding misery.
Exactly. He figured if you could just avoid being miserable, happiness had a pretty good chance of showing up as a consequence. It's about finding simplicity through that avoidance.
So it's like proactive self-correction. You get smarter, not just by learning new things, but by actively unlearning the wrong things, the bad habits, the flawed thinking.
That's a huge part of it. Unlearning is underrated.
Okay, let's scale this up a bit. We're talking about avoiding individual mistakes. But what does this strategy achieve on a bigger scale? For systems, for organizations, for life design?
On that grander scale, inversion really acts as an antidote to fragility.
Antidote to fragility, okay.
Nassim Taleb talks a lot about anti-fragility systems that actually benefit from chaos. Inversion is kind of the essential first step towards that. It designs systems, whether mental models or business structures, specifically to endure chaos by first eliminating the obvious ways they can break.
Hardening the foundations.
Precisely. You strip out the vulnerabilities, you build this huge margin of safety by getting rid of the potential failure modes. What you're left with is something robust, something that can handle uncertainty because it's not easily broken.
And this is where Munger's other big idea comes in, right? The latticework of mental models.
Yes, they're deeply connected. Inversion isn't just a standalone trick, it's the lever he used to apply his latticework objectively.
The latticework being his collection of models from different disciplines.
Economics, psychology, physics, mathematics, history. He believed you needed to understand the big ideas from all the major fields.
So how does inversion work with the latticework? Can you give an example of that, cross-checking?
Sure. Let's say you're looking at an investment. Your economics model might say, okay, technically, based on price to earnings or whatever, this stock looks cheap.
Standard analysis.
Right. But if Munger stopped there, he'd be relying on just one discipline, potentially missing things. So then he applies inversion using a different model, say psychology. He asks, okay, how could my own psychological biases, like my desire for quick riches or my tendency towards herd behavior, how could those guarantee I make a stupid decision here, maybe buying at the peak?
So using psychology to stress test the economic argument by looking for the failure path.
Exactly. How does human folly, greed, fear, envy, how do those things guarantee this seemingly rational economic decision blows up? By cross-checking like that, using inversion to look for the downside across disciplines, he could spot failure patterns that specialists stuck in their own silos would completely miss.
That's incredibly disciplined. It's almost like a quiet rebellion, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, it pushes back hard against his modern obsession, the cult of optimization. Do more, achieve more, buy more, add more complexity.
It does.
Inversion just says, stop. Stop doing the things that clearly make you fragile or miserable. Stop chasing complexity that just increases your chances of breaking.
It's a call for ruthless simplicity and focusing on what not to do.
So Munger's secret wasn't finding the one perfect needle in the haystack. It was systematically avoiding all the bundles of sharp, rusty nails.
That's a great way to put it. His success wasn't really about moments of dazzling genius. It was about the consistent, rational avoidance of disaster for decades.
And you argue that this leads ultimately to a specific kind of payoff.
Yes. The ultimate payoff, I think, is freedom.
Freedom. How so?
When you actually live this way, when you start stripping away the unnecessary complexity, the bad habits, the guaranteed paths to failure, the world actually seems to slow down. That simplicity born from subtraction, it breeds a sense of control. And that control, over time, leads to a profound feeling of freedom.
Freedom from what, specifically?
Yeah. Freedom from the burdens that drain your energy and cloud your judgment. Freedom from crushing debt. Freedom from the tyranny of your own ego demanding constant validation. Freedom from the consequences of ignorance and avoidable mistakes. Removing those things creates mental space, clarity.
That really reframes what intelligence means, doesn't it? Maybe the highest form isn't solving hyper-complex equations.
Maybe it's the ability to simplify, to eliminate what truly doesn't matter, to focus relentlessly on avoiding the errors you can control.
Munger wasn't optimizing for maximum possible return.
He was optimizing for minimizing catastrophic loss and regret, protecting his ability to keep playing the game. He knew that if you can just avoid blowing up for long enough, if you consistently clear the path of stupid decisions, then success, or at least survival and steady progress, becomes almost inevitable.
It's the boring path, maybe, but it's the one that wins over the long haul, undefeated.
That really brings it home for you, the listener. The path to resilience, maybe even greatness, isn't paved with brilliant moonshots. It's cleared day by day of stupid decisions.
You can't control the global economy, but you can control your personal debt levels. You can't predict the next crisis, but you can build a financial and mental life that isn't totally dependent on things going perfectly.
Build that margin of safety.
So wrapping this up, what's the core takeaway for making decisions tomorrow? It seems the power of inversion lies in realizing that sometimes the absolute best way to move forward
is having the courage to stop walking in the wrong direction, to turn around.
Yeah.
And maybe the final thought to leave you with is something Munger himself hinted at. The world probably doesn't need another supposed genius chasing complexity. It is maybe just fewer fools making easily avoidable mistakes. So the question for you is, will you dare to think backward, to rigorously challenge your assumptions by looking for failure, even when everyone else is blindly racing forward?